on teamwork and team play, when they rebuilt their entire team, when they got rid of Double Lift and brought in Huhi and Stixay, a lot of their success was due to how well these guys worked with the rest of the team, and that's what brought them success at MSI. They're trying to return to that now, both physically with the jerseys, as well as in-game.
In every way possible. It looked like they were having fun. Huhi getting one last yawn out before the competition begins. And we'll see what the bans are. The Swain actually banned out here for Haunter. He's been Aurelia Swain, but they choose that for the worst of the wear.
Yeah, 13 straight games, Haunter has played either Swain or Aurelia. Everyone always points out Double Lift. Okay, he's playing Lucian only, but Haunter's only been, he's a two-trick pony, basically, if people are going to try and, tunnel vision on that. But that really just comes down to TSM have a very clear plan for how the game is supposed to be played right now. And there's just that checklist of champions they go down. So there hasn't been much variety, and they haven't had to have much variety because it's so hard to ban any one person on TSM out. They're all so versatile. There it is, though. That's not banning out Bjergsen, but it is Bjergsen's most played champion for this split, stealing away the Azir. It's something that Huhi has put a bunch of work on. He has trained very hard after he had some highlight blooper plays at MSI.
Yeah.
He took that upon himself. He's trained with the champion very much, and he feels very confident in it, and the rest of the team are backing him up with it.
Just a few of those all Emperor Divide misses, but those are calibrating
That's
ults.
the thing, though. Like, it sticks in people's minds. Smithy there, the guy on camera as well, has had the same thing happen. You can't let the community perception get you wrong. You can't let one mistake deter you from playing a champion. You got to get back up on that horse or back up on that Emperor and go right back versus Bjergsen, which is the stiffest competition in the mid lane. So this will not be a light game to play that assassin. Plus, Svenskeren on the other side, if we jump over TSM side, early draft here for the Elise, one of the most high-pressure junglers, especially for attacking mid lane, because there's so many angles you can cocoon from and repel into the lane.
We see that combined with the Sivir comp already. We'll see how TSM rounds that out. The Braum to slow things down. Hopefully that Glacial Fissure disengage the fight. They actually have quite a way to stop TSM from getting in. The LeBlanc and the Bard locked up, though, for TSM.
There it is. They talked about it a little bit on the desk. Oh, it's not about Azir and then counter pick Zed to try and 1v1 kill him. Hey, it is. It's LeBlanc. Bjergsen LeBlanc, nonetheless, trying to take that assassin and looking for the kill pressure. If you didn't see that before with the Elise pick, it's so clear now. This is going to be Svenskeren and Bjergsen trying to take down Huhi early on. So he's going to have to play defensively. He's going to have to try and dodge these cocoons. There's a lot of things you can do, mind games with Azir. Incarnation, Jensen was the one displaying it yesterday. I got stuck in the past there actually for a second. But he's displaying some of the mind games, delaying when you're going to go for your dashes, save your flash, things like that. But the point that you brought up earlier, Riv, about the Braum lock-in with the Azir is definitely worth re-mentioning because the double wall is very, very secure for team fights in the later in the game. However, TSM have the best early game stats of any team in the North American LCS. The fastest game times and the largest early game leads.
I think Mark was saying something about Callista just the other day. If you were to see another one, what would it be? Why not still Callista? I think that was the way it went. Alphamu is going to lock in the Jax for Darshan, but again, you were talking about the 80 carries, and now he goes over to Callista instead of those main.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about in this champion select with CLG because there's so many very clear trends with them as well as TSM. The Jax for Darshan is undefeated, 5-0 so far in Summer Split. Meanwhile, Stixay, that lack of the new utility 80 carries that we talked about is still there. He's not playing, or they're not getting wins on the Jhin, Ashe, and Sivir. Now he's going back to the Callista, and this is more reminiscent of stuff that CLG played at MSI, save for trading out a split-pushing top laner, and Darshan used to have the Maokai when they were over in China. On the other side, though, no surprise there. Swain was banned out. The other one we mentioned, Riv, Aurelia locked in for Haunter. He's going to take it up there to try and go toe-to-toe with Darshan. I'm
going to love this battle. Also see if TSM does the early jungling with Svenskeren to kind of get Haunter a bit ahead. He wasted TP. There's so much to watch in this early game. And we got Bjergsen on his first LeBlanc of the summer. Bringing that out, something he would bring out almost every game in the past.
And they talked about versatility as well for TSM. It's not that they only have the one strategy or they only have the single champion that they're playing. It's up to the other teams to push them off that single strategy and push them off onto different champions.
Yeah.
Opening up with a blind pick Azir is something that's going to do that. TSM are going to jump on that, try and counter it. They have the early round Elise and capitalize on that with an assassin for Bjergsen.
I am excited to get this one underway. This rivalry runs deep. Show off your allegiance on Twitter using the hashtag CLGwin or the hashtag TSMwin. And we'll keep tabs on the fan vote throughout the match. Keep them coming, keep it changing. If you feel like it's swaying and you find love for a different team in this game, it might happen. There's going to be emotions running high. We're almost on the riff. It's CLG versus TSM. We're going to be into a barn burner right quick.
Yes, they are. One of my favorite things about the rivalry, when the chants start to meld and change between CLM, TSG. The thing about this rivalry is, yes, we say it every time, it is the oldest League of Legends rivalry. Two of the first teams ever created, and both of them have had success for very long periods of time, ups and downs. But it's all about how every single new player that's been brought onto these teams, none of them have any of the remaining original players left, but the new players, each one that joins this team, when they put on that jersey, they put just as much passion into the rivalry as the last player.
30 seconds until minutes.
Filling big shoes as you step onto either one of these teams. In the beginning, created as friends apart, then CLG, Hotshot, and TSM Reginald step back, say, I'm going to make a team that can beat your team. And we still have that till today.
It's like an anime almost, and they're still in the 5th season of the anime now.
Except we get the answer to the episode now instead of 7 episodes later.
All right, well, Biofrost there on your screen getting the deep words in answer to CLGs. This is something that CLG do so often. Deep words, looking for the lane swap, trying to get information early on. Biofrost, though, that guy, he's the newest member to don one of the jerseys in this rivalry. And man, has it fit him like a glove, working so well with Double Lift and having one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in a long time.
A little love tap to start things off. Very nicely done.
Yep, neither of them getting their Thunderlords proc, though. That is the biggest difference in the early stages. Here comes Aframu. Early attention mid, we thought that would be the case, and true to form. CLG just trying to make a showing of strength here. Yes, we are behind Huhi. We've got his back. Ooh. The answer. No exchanges, everyone just acknowledging support presence in lanes.
I wonder how they're going to play this as well, because we always see Huhi want to push up, push up. If that's something they can just time and say his wave's going up, he's going to want to just get one extra one. They can start attacking that. Already trying to make it hard for him so he can't even push up here.
Yeah, the thing about lane swaps, though, is that it does make it so predictable what side the enemy team is going to come from. And both of these mid laners did a good job. Back off to your stronger side. There it is, our first Thunderlords proc. They both get to trade it, though. And the trade goes actually fairly even.
Yeah. I like that for Huhi even, because you get the passive out. You don't have to wonder about the next attack if Bjergsen goes low.
Yeah. If we check in on how the lane swaps are going, outside of the trading in mid lane, it's all about the neutral camp focus. The slight lead here for Smithy on the Nidalee is faster than Elise, so not due to any really misplays there from Svenskeren. Just champion difference Smithy. Actually, you would expect some difference here with Nidalee getting ahead a bit quicker, but he's actually 2 camps or 1 camp and a half, so doing a good job executing even after the nerfs to Nidalee. Makes another pass towards mid, but these are just
yeah, adding the pressure. You don't have the most crowd control to take down Bjergsen.
Stealing the small ones is a big deal to me, actually. People always are like, oh, counter jungler's all about the large monster, and yes, it still is, but there have been slight increases to the value over the past couple seasons in the mid-season changes, or the preseason changes to more value on the small ones. It is definitely very worth for Huhi to steal away the small chickens. And he opts there even to get the Thunderlord's last hit rather than getting that last hit on the minion right next to him. Focusing on champion health. Going toe-to-toe with Bjergsen is actually working out, staying up there in health. Both of them out of potions and close in CS.
See where this roam takes Biofrost. He's good, just picking up more chimes. making sure he's getting more meeps and could be that much more aggressive.
Never heard so many screams and woos for a missed level 4 Nidalee spear.
We LCK now.
People are so excited. We're just ready to jump on it. No blood yet. Lane swaps working out so far for CLG, and Smithy gets to make another pass because of his early tempo lead on Svenskeren, but a very leading spear. Darshan gets a stun though!
Back and forth, Haunter, he has some time to dance this one out, but it looks like it's going to be a first blood. Haunter valiantly doing as much damage before he goes down, and it's going to be Darshan to finish this one off. Haunter almost 2v1ing.
Smithy making the pass here all the way through mid lane, got off to such a quick start on the Nidalee. Svenskeren was back in base purchasing, and he makes the drop down there on the long lane of Haunter.
Yes.
A bit greedy, no vision, not respecting Smithy at all. Can Smithy actually get out here? A bit of greed for him.
Oh, wait, he's gonna go! Oh, the repel. He's only got Smithy or Darshan to go to, and Darshan couldn't close the gap. He would have had to quickly think to leap onto Smithy, but it was all too scary in the end.
If he had gone on Smithy, you have to get that kill, because if you go on Smithy, you're for sure dead. And it was very risky. I don't know if he would have been able to get the kill. At best, it would have been a 1-for-1 trade. So he aborts mission, ends up burning his flash, and TSM need to regroup, because that looks like a little bit of chaos for TSM early on after the unexpected first blood on Haunter. Remember yesterday, Haunter was camped. You know, there's a lot of pressure put on him, and CLG looking like they want to repeat, given the circumstances there of him presenting an overextended Aurelia. Darshan getting first blood is one of the worst things for TSM, and plays right into the strategy that CLG love, that 1-through run that you know and associate with them.
Absolutely. Pushed up a bit too far. If they can start breaking this, maybe get the Herald over to Darshan and make that split even more effective. But now we trade the second tiers. This is where a lot of teams will fall behind with TSM. Don't choose something right away and lose their turret without any gain. It looks like CLG should be able to trade evenly here.
Yep. Looks like they're doing a decent job of getting CS for the top laners as well. Aurelia does have an easier time of trying to CS under here. Svenskeren actually heading over, trying to help and allow Haunter some room to go in for those CS, but same thing for Smithy. And I have to say, yes, it's easier for Nidalee to move across the map than other junglers, and she has a quicker clear speed, but Smithy is playing this early game very intelligently.
Nice little attack there by Styx. They actually pulled the turret tether, so it didn't hit Afro Mu. Mid laners come back both with that Negatron cloak and refillable potions on the buy. The discrepancy is one more ring to actually the ability tome inside of Bjergsen. So they definitely know they're going to be taking damage while they're farming away. Junglers helping the side lanes. Like you said, things are a little bit more predictable here in the lane swap. So Buki and Bjergsen know they can kind of go toe-to-toe every so often. 59 to 58 in CS there. Practically even, but that gold lead to Counter Logic Gaming of 1,000 in the beginning.
Yeah. Plus their sweet, sweet cannon minion and a couple extra range for Bjergsen to pick up. So he'll have a very, very small lead, but both of them have been able to get that Negatron breakpoint, which is what you want early on in most of these mid lane trades, so that you don't run the risk of getting 100%. And both of them still have all summoners as well. Remember, this is a teleport LeBlanc, which is a fairly recent thing. That's become extremely common, but it is gonna. He's Aphromu there. What you hope for, you know, your highest percentage of success is that you just force the smite. You know, kind of a panic move or something from TSM, so they can't give the move up over. Best case scenario is obviously that you steal it, but pretty close. No cigar there for Aphromu. Much like Graves, he's going to now head down into the bottom lane with Smithy as well. It looks like they might actually decide to try and control the Scuttle Crab first and just do some baiting here with the pink wards.
Usually you see TSM doing this first. They're the ones that get that second bottom tier, then they'll be going back for the dragon. None of that has happened, so it seems now both teams could meet here. Teleport up for Darshan as he makes his way back to the top lane, and the Scuttle battle goes to Svenskeren. A little bit of a smite.
Oh, Hoo-hee!
Emperor's Divide, one turret shot for Bjergsen. He's got to figure out which is the right one. And he has chosen correctly. They're going to get the lockdown, custom blows to hit. Bjergsen gets away with 2 passive shots left. It's now into Aphromu, and they quickly make a turn. CLG's forced to retreat. 1 kill for TSM.
Oh, who hits team first? The first team is CLG, and Afromu makes a great play. However, the entire TSM team come and turn it around. Double F pops, the Sivir ultimate, speed boost arrives, and they punish Afromu. Oh! Uh-oh, can Smithy get in there? He's got flashed! It might have been his death when he went in there and traded again for a 1-for-1, but I say you go for that, sucker, because Double F's low on mana, but he doesn't want to go into it. A little bit wary of the fog of war
his
here.
slalom through the minions here saves his life.
Yeah, so look at this too. At this point, if you look at the mini-map, Smithy's with the other three. If they all move up now, then they would have got there in time, but Smithy jumped onto the red buff. He was just a hair behind, and he makes the decision to stay. So actually, if you look at it, yes, TSM, they did have the Sivir speed boost to get there a little bit sooner, but CLG, if they had immediately communicated that skirmish, if Huhi was like, this guy's fighting me, come now, and all three of them immediately reacted, they might have been able to at least save Afromu and maybe even convert that kill. But that was a split second right there that determined a lot for the mid lane. All of TSM immediately pop the speed and get up there.
And that's what we were looking for Huhi as well. Is he going to be hitting those ults in mid lane, especially on the LeBlanc?
He hit it.
Very, very hard to lock down. Capitalizes, but unfortunately Bjergsen just finds his way out of the fight. Haunter looking for aggression here on the death of that minion, has the Blade Surge back. He's just playing the kind of harass game, making sure Darshan has a tough time.
Ooh, spear, that one hit.
I love the spear love going on right now.
Yeah, I know, right? Nidalee is one of those champions that always carries a lot of risk. And so many people have played with the old full AP Nidalees that anytime you see a spear flying, you just have that reaction that's been built into you of death is coming. That ward will not evolve.
No.
But man, yeah, I have to say that one little difference there was, you know, TSM actually coming out ahead in team play, team focus, with them immediately reacting to some aggression. Obviously, the aggressor was Bjergsen, so maybe it allows Bjergsen the comfort of being able to make the call and tell them, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this fight. And it has to be a little bit more reactionary for CLG, and they have to see the confrontation and then make the choice to come up. But
yeah,
up until that point, you know, Smithy was everywhere exactly that CLG needed him, and that's a big reason why they had the early lead before. But made the choice to stay on red. Not quite sure if they could capitalize. Check back in with this 1v1 though, Riv.
Whoa, Transcendent Blades, that's Haunter's healing a bit. Equilibrium comes in, he tries to get more Transcendent with the lockdown on Darshan, so no more damage comes through. What an outplay from Haunter and a leave for Bjergsen's kill.
Another coordinated team play, communication there with TSM, calling in Bjergsen. Darshan doesn't want to flash over to try and answer. He was a bit lower already. Not quite sure if he could have gotten it by answering the flash, or if there was maybe a couple seconds left on it, but I think the option was there. Anyways, great outplay there from TSM. They used that teleport, pointed out from LeBlanc, and grab another kill for themselves, evening up the gold. They've made up for the early CLG lead. However, CLG, remember they built their comp around this late game Azir. Braum has an extra wall, and Stixxay is going to be able to have a lot of room to work with. That Azir provides a lot of zoning for both of them.
Biofrost saying, I see you.
Miracle Steal here from Biofrost. That would be the only way. He went for the early. It was like, maybe they're going to try and combo it early. That's what he was thinking.
Yep.
Because you know that if they wait till it's low, he can easily just wait till it's in smite range. And there's no way support Bard can put out that much damage. The one way that you do get that steal is if Smithy tries to combo with other abilities, doesn't hit it at smite range, and then you snag it because he miscalculated, but not the case. So let's take a look here. Darshan does have flash from the very beginning of this. Okay, so that's not going to be the one. But he's winning up until now. Turns it with the stun, which is how Aurelia fights go. And then, yeah, he was only one hit away from dying again, so that was just a good play there from Haunter. And after further review, I think that it's good that Darshan saved his flash in that scenario, and just he was resigned to his death because he had been fully committed. Haunter pulled off the bait, and it was fully taken.
Look at that.
I think they miscounted.
Won't
Think
fool
we're
me
to 4,
again.
guys. You got to start from 4, not 3.
Oh,
Red buff
Smithy should
fight.
have it. No, he does not. That goes over to Sven Skaren. So now TSM says you're going to grab dragons. We're going to get in your face a little bit and try to take away your jungle.
And this has been sort of classic TSM for the summer split here, moving in for those red buff steals. Sven Skaren's been empowered by the success of his laners, and TSM have used this all split long, pressing up, you know, trying to get this ward line that you see here, first line of wards, and then going in for the buff steals, trying to force their opponents to collapse into their own jungle. And it does work there. They're able to come away with the steal, even without a giant gold lead or tempo lead here from TSM. Able to pull off the same play. Blue going to be handed off to Bjergsen at this moment as well. See if he can try and create something in that mid lane. He did get kill credit, remember, from the earlier skirmish. So even though they're close in CS, Bjergsen does have the completed Morellonomicon.
All right, looks like we could actually get some cross-map action. I don't think we're going to see Smithy and Afro take that fight down bottom, but this top lane fight, Haunter then stands toe-to-toe this time, and he actually gets the victory by himself. He's going to have a solo lane of experience now, catapult himself in CS in the bot lane. They don't have to act on anything.
Yep, that is going to go from bad to worse for CLG, because this matchup is very much that race to Trinity Force. Now Haunter is going to get his first. Darshan on that back would have wanted to be able to have combine costs, but he only has the 3 parts. And you gain so much efficiency and stats when you actually get to combine the entire item that it's a huge break point, not to mention the level lead for Haunter now, not to mention the CS lead that he's going to have. Darshan going to save his teleport. There's a big minion wave. He's not going to use it to get up there. We'll see if that teleport actually means the difference in a play down the line. Because that's a huge double minion wave up at the top turret that he's going to lose out on right now.
He got 2 of those minions.
Yeah, and Haunter is 2 levels completely above him at the moment. Darshan cannot take any more of those fights. They need to have extra backup for him. He can't stand alone. At least he got his fully combined Trinity Force, you know. He waited in there while dead, was able to get the combine cost, so things are not as dire as they seem. There isn't a huge item lead. It's just the extra corruption potion, which definitely will help Haunter out in those trades. Have we seen him try and get low to get his stun off, then use your potion charges to heal you back up and get the extra damage as well.
Seems like it was almost trying to draw Wuhi's ultimate. Biofrost in a bad spot. Tempered Fate's there. Flashes away and hits Smithy on the journey. He may be able to get out. He will get out as he makes it to the minion line, but we're not done yet. It's Stixxay. He has the ultimate. Fates could be brought back if they need to save Afro move or to disengage this one. Glacial Fissure goes out and spreads Sven Skaren and the rest of the team. Stixxay charging forward, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to match the damage necessary. Bjergsen looking for the double. Mimic goes out and Stixxay gets a Q ×2. Almost goes down to that. Looks like CLG will have to retreat.
Another quick collapse from TSM. And CLG, even though they got the jump over there, Biofrost with a magical escape over with the Bard. Barely goes down, but... And they're able to get the Raptor kill on top of that to add insult to injury here. Sven Skaren still keeping up that counter jungling, and look at this. Even though the Nidalee got off to such a great start, Sven Skaren's now ahead in levels. He's been able to catch up. TSM turning this one back around, play by play. All about the teamwork for them as well. And the next target is Darshan, sending everybody up here for him.
Oh no. That TP's down too, so he's got a long walk to wherever he goes. Smithy tries to right the wrong and puts himself in a bad spot. Now TSM get 2 and top turret.
It's one of those games where you start to feel like TSM have more members than CLG playing the game.
It almost seems like that, doesn't it?
But it's because of the teamwork. Coordinated plays back-to-back from TSM. CLG now on the chase, though. Double lift gets hit.
It's going to be a stop back. Cosmic Binding, not really up since they just used it at the turret. Double lift puts the spell shield on. Can he be taken down? He finds the brush denial. Takes him down. Throws the Q out. The kill over to Biofrost, who he now has walked into a bad spot. Does he want to stay here? And he actually is going to shift out of this one. Top lane being pushed by Sven Skaren and Hanzo right now, so they get 2 turrets for their trouble in the bot lane.
Perfectly played by Doublelift. They sit around, they first exhaust Stixay. He waits out the exhaust. 1 stack away from Braum. Passive hitting is very easy to see, so Doublelift can get the easy spell shield. Let's take another look at this though. So he knows they're coming through. They're waiting for Stixay, immediate exhaust. Then right as the passive is about to proc, he sees it coming, flashes into the brush is the big part though, because there's no vision for CLG. Stixay can't get his last auto. Doublelift gets the kill. The collapse is first here again from TSM as Bjergsen gets down there, and Huhi can't clean anything up because everyone else was dead already.
Got him.
And things looking up for CLG. There you go. The Scuttle Crab win.
I'll hit the dragon. Make it do damage. Monster leaving that top lane. Looks like they actually want to get down the last bit of defense here in the mid lane with him having that focus right now. Top wave is somewhat pushing for CLG, so they can actually let that just build up and be nice. It looks like it actually might be a little love for Infernal here. The resulting fight may actually mean either team's mid turret.
It is the best snowballing Drake. Perfect for TSM at this moment to tack onto their gold lead. Now their offensive builds are going to mean that much more. They even have 4 offensive builds here. So Infernal means even more for this snowball than usual.
Sun Disc put up. Obviously TSM's gonna have to go all the way around the outside, and Counterlogic Gaming making TSM march to the beat of their drum now. Push mid lane and kind of dictate that. Yes, Infernal did go to TSM, but they lost quite a bit of structure damage.
Yep, CLG still fighting here. They're not going to give away the Drake for free. They take back the mid turret. 1 objective for 1, trying to make it 2 here.
Another double sigil coming from Bjergsen. 3-man, there are definitely killable targets as they pop out. The boomerang and distortion combo coming in absolutely takes down Aphromoo right away. They still have a chance to follow here. Stixay using his blades, gonna get a little bit more room as Smithy gets caught up in the end as the caboose to the fight. And TSM lose no members, gaining 4 as CLGs and kills, 11-1. And they're turning towards the Baron.
Yep, CLG were in desperation mode. They're trying to get back into this game with a strong push down mid. Really quick collapse from TSM though. They're able to take them out. I don't know if they can finish this Baron, but Hanser is elected to tank it, and they do have the rest of the damage. That will be Baron on top of the Infernal Drake, on top of the gold lead, and TSM making a statement in game number 1, keeping up with those early game numbers.
A lot of 20-minute Barons for TSM, whether they're attempting it or winning it off of huge team fights to give them way more control than they need on the map.
Yep, the stats don't lie, Riv. TSM coming into this match have an 80% Baron and Drake control rate for those giant objectives.
That ult.
Ridiculous. And there it is, the follow-up from TSM. Silver speed boost means they get to chase you down as well. Huhi tries to ult the wall early to dissuade them from following, but it's not going to work. Sven point blank flash cocoon there. And the cleanup is complete for TSM. 22 minutes in, Baron push down mid.
Putting much too much security and having just that 1 turret behind them, and then giving too much room to TSM. You have a whole lane to be chased down still.
It's so hard to fight against TSM right now.
Oh my word, even with that cloak, getting crushed.
They talked about it so often. Reggie said they haven't even taken a vacation. You know, it's all about the hard work for TSM members. They practice every single day. Bringing back MSI memes. This is what could have happened if you didn't take a vacation.
It's been mostly cheers. Now we get a groan.
Yeah. It's a little. It's an old one. It's an old meme, and it's a European-based one as well. So TSM though with so much control right now. It's what we've come to expect from them in Summer Split.
Kills across the board. The only death here to Hanser. He's on the board clearing mission.
Yeah, I was just gonna let that one go. Got his eyes on the prize here.
Still able to hit Aphromoo for pretty good damage. It looks like they're just going to slowly walk out of this one. They have Doublelift up top, Hanser pushing the bot lane. They're really just looking to see if they can get any major summoners or spells out of CLG. in defense. But it looks like they're actually going to take this one as is.
Oh.
Do they really want Huhi? That's on the hunt. He throws down Emperor's Divide, but everything goes right around it, the wall.
Man.
It does nothing, just like the goggles.
Biofrost caught him right on the coattails there, barely snagging it. That earns them the mid turret as well, though. TSM just skipping ahead to end game now, 24 minutes in. Baron push on the inhibitor turret.
Slowly Baron's up minions for another 50 seconds. A 1 minute push with 18 seconds onto Huhi means they really don't have too much to defend here. Darshan can't just jump into a pile of 5. They have to disperse TSM somehow. And TSM will do that on their own, walking out slowly after taking the bottom inhibitor. Now 10,000 gold in the lead, 25 minutes in.
I have to say, it is going to be hard for TSM to not go into playoffs being overconfident if they keep playing like this. It's not just that they're undefeated. It's that way that they dismantle their opponents in the game. If you have to actually look at the play, so complete is the victory. CLG right now trying to recover. They're going into that farm for late mode. They have a Zir to rely upon. They have a Jax that they need to get to his next breakpoint because a full item pretty much lead for Hanser. +2 levels means that there's no way Darshan can stack up against him. Right now what you have to do is split push the opposite lane from Aurelia. But there's Bjergsen. He's in the opposite lane and you get sniped.
Wow. Morello Namakan into that Abyssal Scepter and quickly into a Void Staff. 3-item LeBlanc. It looks like it's riding a bike for Bjergsen on the LB. First time of the summer, and it's just like it was before. Same as it ever was. 25 just over on the clock, as it could be the second inhibitor turret going down. Chronologic Gaming putting quite a bit of resources here to get each wave cleared. They really have Huhi to help on that. Stixxay can do what he can from the back, but he's got to get into a dangerous spot to help that wave get away.
Yep, TSM knocking at the doors from all sides. Bottom inhibitor already down, so they've got the extra pressure. Now there's a Mountain Drake coming up, but they don't really need that one to end the game. They're so far ahead right now. They'd probably just rather another Infernal. Oh, they're going for the 1v1. Too bad, 2v1. Still almost got him.
It feels so good when you can do that as any champion in the game. And right now, Hanser feels unstoppable. Darshan getting taken down by Bjergsen. Darshan just came back up. We saw him go down at red. He can almost provide nothing for the team here as he's been focused. After he got the first kill, we saw that happen onto Hanser. And TSM just said, nope, not again. We won't be fooled. We're taking the rest of the map in the next 20 minutes. And it seems like they've done so. 15-1. Possibly losing another here, 16-2 now as they also pick up one in the Retribution kill. The Nexus is the next thing to go down, and that's in the eyes of Team Solomid. A sub 30-minute game to start off the rivalry in this best of 3, and TSM take down CLG in game 1.
My goodness.
Statement game.
An impressive victory there for TSM. And CLG, they need to regroup after that one. Yes, that was a very complete victory against CLG, but this is a best of 3 where that doesn't matter anymore going into game 2. You have to focus completely on game 2. There were positives for CLG in the very early stages. When Smithy was getting ahead in the jungle, he was a bit ahead on tempo, and then they started to have a couple of mistakes there, a lot centering around the split push with Darshan. And unable to recover from that point. So you have to start the very beginning here from CLG because TSM, they've been an early game team. They have the fastest average game times and the most giant early game gold leads.
I know we have a lot to talk about. So does the analyst desk. We're going to let them do it first because we get all next game to talk about it. Now to review all the big moments from that TSM win, we're going to toss it back to the analyst.
Thank you very much, Riv. I mean, it was a quick one. It was a quick one, so there's only so many moments that we can reveal and go over since the game ended so in such a dominant fashion. TSM, when Reginald on the desk earlier was
60-40 was a little
well, that's the thing. I mean, I respect
generous.
that. I respect that because it does reflect the mindset of the team in that they're not going to walk in expecting, 100 to 0. We're for sure going to win this game. And it allows for performances like this,
Yeah,
right? To respect your opponent, but still look dominant.
The players look up to him, and if he sets the bar for the mentality that the players need to have, they go in respecting their opponents, not getting too cocky. The performance is going to be more consistent. So good on them.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive right into this one and kind of pick it apart. Let's look at champion select and start with that. You know, it's funny at the beginning of the day you talk about, you know, we don't see the Azir Zed matchups. We do see the Azir LeBlanc matchup in this one in the mid lane
But
today.
I think the reason why the LeBlanc came out is not for the matchup 1v1 itself, but
Okay.
for how LeBlanc can affect the side lanes, particularly because of Jax. So if you leave Jax open, CLG has shown they're going to take Jax into anything.
Right.
And Jax against LeBlanc is a very difficult matchup because when LeBlanc hits her spikes and she's able to roam to the side lanes very freely, Jax has no chance of defending against that. He can be dove, he can just be constantly punished. And we saw by the time they came to grouping, Bjergsen was just popping Darshan left, right, and he was unable to do that, and he wasn't even winning the 1v1 matchup.
Well, a big thing too is, you know, he didn't take Ignite, right? It wasn't like he was
Right,
like, I'm
TP.
gonna go fight Huhi and kill him. He brought TP to assist in these 1v1 side lane fights that are gonna happen between an Aurelion and a Jax.
And that was just kind of the theme of the game for TSM, right? Was that it wasn't one individual player, as we see CLG on your screens now, kind of re-gearing for game 2. They're going to have to diagnose what the issue was for them and come back stronger. But continuing on the TSM point, it really was this game, as most of their games are, this split about teamwork. It wasn't, I'm going to beat you in my lane. I'm going to, you know, I'll beat this guy in my lane. And then we'll meet each other at the Nexus. This was very much a team effort, showcased very early on. Only 9 minutes into the game, we see First Blood come out in the mid lane, but it's because TSM, very smart response to aggression by CLG.
Right, I like how if you just look at the minimap right now, both teams are totally clumped up on the bot side in the river, and when Huhi starts going for this fight, you can see just how much faster TSM decides. I mean, obviously they have Sivir, but Smithy's still messing around on the red buff at this point. He didn't come with the rest of the team the way that TSM all moved together. He could have dropped that red buff to like come to this fight and maybe help influence it, but TSM as a unit all move at the same time, and they all agree that like, you can get back to whatever else we might do later, let's go fight this mid fight. And
Well, that's the power of the Sivir ultimate. The collapse is going to be so much faster.
well, it's always going to be faster, but the Smithy didn't even come.
Right.
He's still on his red buff. Like, you can go to that fight and then go to your red buff or something. Like, I don't think it's the right decision to, when a big fight's erupting, to split your team up.
Right, exactly. That's only one of the instances in which we kind of saw TSM outclassing CLG in terms of coordination. Another example of that, 18 minutes into the game, we see a dive top lane coordinated by TSM, and then very soon after, a couple kills bot lane.
Right, I mean, this is just such a good play by TSM. They crash the wave top lane. Honster starts the dive off. Sven finishes it off. That was extremely quick. Now Smithy's caught out of position with Bjergsen coming in from behind. They pick up these 2 quick kills, and because CLG's thinking that everyone's topside, they want to go really hard bottom. So Afro starts collapsing from the mid lane. He's going to start making his way down. But even though they should win this 2v2, it'd still be close. But with the Bjergsen TP coming in, which CLG probably lost track of, it's just not going to be close at all. Double is able to kite out. Yeah, he had a monster spell shield on that stun.
It just kind of pays dividends to the theme that we're seeing a lot of these games where one team is ahead in the tempo. They're making the plays left, right, and center and outclassing the other team. And instead of just kind of taking the loss and playing it a little bit slower, the other team just seems to kind of try to push back against that by making these really rash decisions and not really thinking things through, which happens time and time again in a lot of these matches. And it's showcased here by trying to go for that collapse without Huhi being there. Had Huhi preemptively moved towards the bot side and they would have started that as a 3v3, they could have easily won that fight. But because they're uncoordinated and rushed, it goes poorly.
TSM in their huddle now, looking forward to game 2 after a 27-minute victory. They've got to be feeling good, but of course they need to make sure that they walk in, give their opponents the same respect that they did in game 1. I'm sure that's what Weldon is helping remind them about in this brief respite that they have moving forward.
Well, I want to have to credit the coaching staff and the preparation quite a bit for this match because I really think the draft was really intelligent because you'd expect TSM to be picking the likes of Lucian, the Bard, or the Braum, or the
even the Nidalee for themselves.
Yeah, even the Nidalee, champions that they've played time and time again, but they completely opt out for something else that they know is going to be very effective against CLG. I mean, Huhi could have flashed out a Bard ult almost every time, but he never chose to and got punished for it.
Player of the game, Bjergsen on that LeBlanc. I mean, we talked about it, his ability to affect those side lanes, taking the TP, knowing that it's not about beating Huhi in the mid lane, it's about beating the entire map.
Yeah, I mean, before Bjergsen was the guy that was taking that on LeBlanc, and everybody would be like, well, I guess that's your problem, and then you got to deal with Bjergsen, and now everybody has to deal with him by TPing into the lane, so that's got to be scary playing against that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that there were a lot of points in this game where CLG wasn't completely getting crushed, but then next thing you know, Bjergsen shows up, and it's a different story. So.
All right, well, that's just game one. CLG still has a chance to strike back, but TSM is looking dominant as ever. We've got to head to a short break before we get to that second game on the back end of this 3.5 minutes. Stick with us. We'll see you soon.
He's only died 2 times on his 5 Zillion games total. So his Zillion, it's so weird how Zillion we usually think of not, having the biggest lane presence, but Bjergsen always seems to still manufacture, some pressure in mid lane with playing a more utility-focused mid lane champion like Zillion, just with the great double bombs that he's able to put out, and then still have the ultimate and speed up to allow the rest of his team to carry it later on.
What are the new ones? They're entering into new
There we
ground.
go. See?
There's
first we've had the same. Rek'Sai follows up. That was the one we didn't get to see. Ryze and Vladimir do follow. Haha, was correct. Vladimir, very high priority, especially in North America, and not going to find himself in this game. That allows CSM the pick of the litter here with Rek'Sai and 2 other junglers banned. I would have expected them to go for a jungler, but they feel confident. It looks like here. I mean, Bjergsen's pretty much confident in all matchups.
Yeah.
But would be curious to see if they first pick this Azir away. It is his most played champion this split.
Take it. Give that to Bjergsen. We'll see how it fares. Echo Fox left up Azir every time. All 3 games they played TSM were able to take the first one. So if your mid laner feels comfortable about it, it's just avoiding Bjergsen engages if you make it past 30 minutes. Some crazy fight
so
you can create.
They secure the Azir. And remember, the weakness for CLG last game was not Huhi on Azir. His Azir was doing just fine in the 1 versus matchup versus LeBlanc in the early stages of the game. So that steal away there from TSM. Meanwhile, on the other side, again, 6A is going to go with a champion outside of the 3 utility AD carry pool, and his most comfortable champion, the Ezreal, something he's talked about a lot, and they have actually had success with. So Smithy back on the Nidalee and getting 6A an AD carry that he can actually be left alone on.
Left alone and playing safe. Doesn't seem like they have too much crowd control with the team they're putting together to make the lanes work combined. So they may be pushing, swapping, pushing, and swapping. On the side of TSM, 15 seconds left for the next 2 picks. Seeing the AD and the jungle. Pretty much going to give away a little bit here of what you want to create in your composition with your next picks. Probably support and your AD.
Let's see here for TSM. They're already setting up with an Azir, so you
take the Aurelia, yeah.
are going to look for some extra speed here. Double lock-in on the Sivir Karma. And this will be a very mobile 4-man squad. I expect, again, TSM to take a split pushing threat to try and end Darshan. Oh,
yes! All right. They're bringing back a lot of MSI now.
Yeah, the first competitive Azir player at MSI.
Aurelion Sol, right.
Or, excuse me, Aurelion Sol. Thank you for the quick correction there. And we do get to see him again. This time he's had a lot more time to practice the champion. I'm very curious to see what the strategy CLG have come up to utilize Azir, because he does provide a lot of very interesting things. Very, very high roaming potential from the mid lane and from the fountain as well, coming down with a lot of zone control if you can grow the star.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Afromu that you, or the Alistar that you alluded to for Afromu, picked up for the front line for CLG.
The alley move. So barrier flash for his Aurelion Sol, and it's going to be the lock-in Gragas for Svenskeren. Going to get a pretty good fight squad out of this TSM team. They continue to run the Sivir on double lift when they want to control the lanes even more and keep pushing to those second tiers, so expect that swap.
Yeah, and as you see it transition into the mid game, we've seen this so often. The disengaged 4-man squad here, Gragas being locked in for that as well. Sivir Karma, Gragas Azir is very, very difficult to pin down and allows time, especially if Haunter gets an early advantage in the 1 versus 1 solo matchup. for him to have that pressure. Darshan, though, locking in that trundle is going to be difficult to deal with. Most melee matchups is going to have the early advantage there. We'll see how much the junglers can influence it, and if CLG try and go for that lane swap to open up the game.
We'll see. Like you said, TSM has that speed. We've been seeing a lot of these comps lately, Kobe, trying to create even faster ones. See how TSM can get theirs going and see if they can get the top speed just as fast as game number 1. The coaches joining each other, Parth and Zix, now to head to the back of the stage as it's all up to the players now with the last words of guidance from their coach. As we're getting down onto Summoner's Rift, take a second to snap a pic, share how you LCS tweeted to @LOL Esports with the hashtag #LockIn. And the hashtag, let's go, because why not? Send us your photos so we can show off the coolest LCS battle stations on air. Where you flying, where you going, how you watching? The crowd is ready. I believe there are ward chants on the horizon as wards are placed. And we might actually even get a pause on the horizon as well as we get into this one. The players are situating themselves, and we have a little bit more time to talk. Welcome back.
Welcome back. If you missed the first game, it was TSM taking it in a very quick 27-minute win over Counterlogic Gaming. CLG did get that first blood on Hauntzer. However, TSM made a very quick comeback and never let the pace turn back in CLG's favor. But yeah, as we wait in this pause, let's theory craft some more Aurelion Soul strategies because they have a lot of extra poke, in zone control that you can pressure at turrets. The Azir, Gragas, are on the other side, so that's a lot of disengage, and CLG are going to try and maneuver those guys into a corridor where they can use this Trundle pillar to narrow that distance and amount of room that TSM have to dodge. Then you start throwing in things like the Nidalee Spears, the Ezreal Qs, and the Aurelion Soul Q.
I was always very interested by who he's Aurelion Soul. A lot of pressuring the wave, backing, buying that next item, not even getting the recipe finished, but piecing things together. And then that composition almost fizzled out when we saw that CLG couldn't fly down the mid lane with Huhi all the time, and you couldn't get past that second turret.
Yeah, that play is going to be hard to pull off against this TSM squad because we mentioned all the disengage they have. Sivir and Karma, with the amount of speed that they can apply to the rest of the team, it does make it very easy for TSM, if they're grouped up, to avoid those Aurelion Soul long lane initiations. And that's why I'm speculating that CLG are going to try and force TSM into one of these smaller corridors, either in the jungle, or at a turret, and then try and use Trundle Pillar to further decrease the space that TSM have to work with. As you expect, though, again, the deep wards for scouting lane swaps. CLG actually have not put the normal ones, and they have put wards to just scout the jungle start here for TSM. Looking at the jungle camp. So CLG won't be getting that early information on the location of the duo lane because they don't have that deep one down bottom. Are going for the blind swap though, even though they didn't see the duo quite yet. Now they will get vision of them on Krugs, and they will have had success initiating another swap. Huhi, again, this was the matchup he used against Azir at MSI. People have had a lot more time to play against Aurelion Soul now, though. He did get a nice Thunderlord's proc there, though. Shoving in the lane at the same time as getting harassed is one of the benefits of Aurelion Soul. Because you get that free damage of the circulating comets.
You can see his confidence, too. He's like, I've done this a million times. Even against Bjergsen, I'll be able to do it for these first few levels. See Bjergsen healing up, though, and he won't be able to do that forever.
Yeah, the other thing about Huhi's playstyle, especially with champions like Aurelion Soul that can return to lane very quickly, he tries to get that CS advantage by shoving into turret. As you can see, he has been able to manufacture a 3-minion advantage as the minion waves do equalize, but he also presents a very big target for ganks. If mid laners play like this is extremely aggressive for mid laners to be that far up in the lane, especially if you don't have an innate escape in your kit. He prevents a very big target for a lot of jungler interaction around that mid lane. However, lane swaps means that he has some extra time. So here's going to be that shove, return to base, and then try and fly down the lane strategy that we see from him on Aurelion Sol. If you see right now from the fountain, he's going to activate and try and return after that quick purchase. He got the Dark Seal, actually, to try and stack up some extra stacks and make his Corruption Potion that much more efficient.
I think he trolled observers.
Yeah, a little bit. I thought he was going to... He does have the E skill. He just didn't use the Comet to return to lane. That's useful information, though, because I would have assumed that he did use it. Now we know that he has it for roaming.
We saw that just about every time he played at MSI. There wasn't once he didn't fly back to lane with it. But we will keep an eye on that Dark Seal and what he intends to do with it. Hopefully get a little bit of help from McSmithy to clear out Bjergsen in the mid lane. Right now, they're trading jungle sides as the lane swaps are happening.
And there goes the dragon.
A little speed there.
Ha! Comet! See? We wouldn't have known. Svenskeren pretty far out.
Wait a minute. He still needs to keep it going. Throws out one Q, and he does not have his ultimate yet. Obviously, level 4.
Oh, baby!
Pressure of the lane. The W's on auto's not going to be enough.
So he gets 2 flashes.
The expansion
He's going
was.
to lose a minion wave, though. Aphromoo, I think he has Thunderlords. He wants to go for the flash combo. Not going to get it. But Huhi sacrifices a minion wave for that play to get 2 flashes, and Bjergsen takes the opportunity to equalize in CS.
Already trying the roam.
Oh, up top. It looks like a teleport coming in as well. 2 versus 2. 3 versus 2. Darshan actually going to get left by himself.
Darshan feeling that he was safe in the situation with Xmithy just on his heels, and that's not the case. Just a headbutt here, waiting for Huhi to come back slowly. Bjergsen's going to be able to walk out of this one.
Yeah.
Pulverized from Aphromoo.
I really thought Smithy was going to step into the fray there. Really did think Smithy was going to step into the fray and try and add a heal over to Darshan, but steps away, and they give up the kill on Darshan on top side. So TSM do acquire first blood. It's a very small gold lead, though, due to the CS for CLG.
I'm just having a blast.
Take another look,
One more time.
So Smithy walks away and leaves him there under the turret. It was a bit dangerous, but let's look at this play instead. Here comes the Comet. No flash this time for Hauntzer.
Star Surge is out. It hits, but too many minions. Hauntzer threads himself through. Celestial Expansion closes in for the damage, and Huhi is able to finish that one off with Xmithy. Hard work pays off, but they're still looking for more.
Yeah, Hauntzer wanted to try and get vision of the Gromp so he could Q over to the Gromp to try and escape. That's why he was hovering next to the wall, not because he had flash, because he did not. But CLG strike back, a roam from Huhi. This one capitalizing on the flash that he burned earlier, and he's right back in lane. So Huhi on the Aurelion Sol having a good start to this one.
So he might even back off of this one. If Blue's not ready. Yep, mana pool is depleted. 2 stacks on his seal for himself. Look to keep that going. Actually, when he got back to lane, he was looking to get that stacked immediately, so he's really on the hunt for more kills. Darshan level 4 to a level 3 of Hauntzer, who will level up on this wave, but keeping a good advantage there, 19-7.
Yeah, because of the success that CLG had attacking that top side, you know, they were able to lay down a bunch of wards in the blue quadrant of the jungle here for Darshan to continue pushing this wave up and ensuring that Hauntzer doesn't get to freeze it in front of his turret. Something to remember as a whole team, if you're playing against Aurelion Sol, is that if you can get a stun on him, you can stop the comets that are circling around him and lower his damage output a lot. So don't always run away from him. You can get in. Uh-oh! Nice flash.
Flash throws out the Voice of Light actually right in the beginning there. So ult's down for the mid laners. A bit of DPS to follow. Xmithy could not connect on the Javelin. And it looks like they'll just tap on this turret a little bit as it gets cleared away.
Smart to focus on mid lane there for CLG so they can open up more windows for Huhi to roam around and continue his roaming with Aurelion Sol. Anytime you want to play aggressive like that as a mid laner, definitely need to have the backup of your team. You can see both wards from CLG around mid lane, as well as presence from the roaming jungler and support. So many visits from Aphromoo to the mid lane. and it's kind of that pay it forward mentality where you gank mid lane for the mid laner, allowing him to not only increase in power, but then he has the time to go transfer his gank and try and affect the other lanes. It's something that, especially in just normal ranked games, you know, as a jungler, feels really good to camp mid lane, open up an early level 6 for your mid laner, and then you're basically sending off a level 6 mid laner for a power gank.
Yeah. He was actually just pinged out by Bjergsen as they went to roam up. He was following Smithy a bit.
Yeah.
But the true shot barrage coming up might have called the team off. Looks like TSM was already backing before that happened. Amount of bars very close to even, so it doesn't look like a full engage here unless we get Aframu all the way over. Things are going over from Svenskeren actually onto that blue, so they may have to fight for this right now.
Wondering if he was going to be able to snag that cannon. Does get it with a quick activation there.
Oh, getting pushed out. Save the blue. All the resources, make it happen. Cloud Drake is what's going to start us off in the den. Looks like they're going to be pushing up the wave on the bot side with double lift, and they might still encroach into this side of the jungle.
Yeah.
Maybe not, though. Looks like they give up.
Very important, successful defense of that blue. Svenskeren continues to try and invade and take away the buffs, but that time cost him a lot. Smithy is 2 levels above Svenskeren, again having a very good start to this game. Now it's just up to Smithy to continue to make those good decisions to move with the rest of the team. You know, one play like they had with the mid-roam last game kind of spun the game out of control in TSM's favor. And they cannot afford to have that happen again.
No.
If TSM gets this victory, they take the entire set. And that will be all for the rivalry this split.
And that door, or window, I should say, is open as well. Stixay not getting much CS on his calling. Still just got kind of relieved to him, that wave that Double Lift and Biofrost were pushing. So he's trying to stack up. They're almost in safety mode. A time where TSM could take hold of this game. But luckily, TSM themselves playing less pressure for this one. 1-to-1 across the board, like we saw. Haunter died last time and didn't die till the end of the game. Besides that, so a little more pressure here from CLG.
Yeah, an interesting thing that CLG are doing right now as well is having Smithy tail Darshan as a split pusher. This is something that also did earlier in the split, but they used a mid laner with teleport, and they had, hey, look, our top laner is just a normal split pushing top laner by himself with teleport, but they have an extra person shadowing him in the fog of war, kind of baiting an engagement from the enemy team. This time, no such engagement from TSM, so Smithy just moves into the jungle. He's gonna steal something? It's very calming. Cruising across the map. Now Haunter actually gets the engagement.
Oh, just missed on the spear. The flash from Haunter is out. He will heal back up with Transcendent Blades, and Counter Logic Gaming unfortunately coming away with nothing that was planned for a bit there.
They're trying to instill this fear in the enemy team, though. The more that you have people waiting in the fog of war behind Darshan, the more it seeps into the enemy mentality that, hey, Darshan is never alone. Darshan is split pushing, yes, but does he have, you know, a couple extra members sitting there in the fog of war behind him? This time, they did even at the turret and forced the flash out of Haunter.
Yeah. And all of this actually still very risky from CLG. Sitting on just trinkets, no Sightstone there, and that may be the reason they have no idea this gank is coming in right now. There's the heal, everything from Stixay. Double Lift forced to fight this one out. Now 2v1, one last whack from Darshan. He's saying freeze, you're under arrest, but Double Lift's running for the hills, and it looks like he's gonna make it out. Maybe a turn, he can easily get the kill. What is Darshan doing?
At that point, he's
I guess
fully
you gotta
committed.
go. You're not gonna give somebody else an assist, so you gotta give yourself up.
So let's go back to the very beginning. CLG, they have people in the fog of war trailing Darshan on top side. If you overload one side of the map, you have to be cautious on the other side. And Stixay, even though he's on Ezreal, one of the more AD carries with more escapes, he does not account for wards and people flanking him. We talk about the speed of Sivir and Karma being used to dodge skill shots. They actually just engage there, and it caused the full commitment from CLG. 2 extra kills, both Stixay and Darshan going down.
Just what I'm saying. They're trying to charge the coal. They're looking to get that Rod of Ages stack. They're not going to do anything.
It's that mentality where if you play the entire map and you play the game like CLG like to play it with full pressure in all lanes, when one side of the map is overloaded, you have to be so cautious about what's happening on the other side. The answer here from TSM, of course they can answer teleports as well, and Hanser is going to be able to finish up that kill. Here goes the engagement from CLG though.
Ooh, nice setup onto Biofrost. Safety with that Karma Shield, however. Low HP bars on TSM, but they're still looking to stand tall in this bit of an engagement.
Remember, you know, after that extra kill down bottom, it didn't turn into an objective though for TSM. So CLG still in a marginal gold lead as the Cole does pop for Stixxay, and he finally does cash in on that extra money.
TSM moving around in groups now, hip to hip here, trying to stay safe as Doublelift walks off by himself. They have the wards to keep it that way, though. Still no Sightstone. Alpharmoo rush the mobility boots to keep the movement for CLG around the map to each lane. As you said, Xmithy's trying to do the same for Darshan at the top here. CLG's looking to make things happen in numbers of 2. So far, everything's coming up just short. The ideas are always there. You see where it could result in. But it looks like TSM just always has the upper hand.
So far. The big thing for CLG that's going in their favor, though, is the extra CS on Stixxay that they've had while they kept him alone in that side lane. That is almost made up for by the kills on Doublelift and the extra assists, but there still is a 300 or so gold lead on Stixxay due to the call and extra CS. So they've gotten their Ezreal, you know, through the early game trough pretty much by now. He's almost able to complete Iceborne Gauntlet probably on the next back. And Darshan, he's getting collapsed on right now, but Smithy's here kind of playing the human ward for him, screening a little defense there, and they just get a bunch of damage on the turret. Not finishing it off. Here come the rest of the team of TSM, though.
But angles, Kobe. If you do the math, that means CLG doesn't look like they can get away on this one. Bjergsen's gonna have Smithy, and he may actually go for Darshan. Doesn't really have the slow necessary. Yes, they do. They're gonna get back onto it. Darshan goes down. They even throwing out for the homies. The Fence Karen throws down the cast. That's 2 CLG members down as they try to attack mid lane.
But they're gonna trade it for mid lane. Objective focus here from CLG. They're losing members on top, but they're gaining ground on mid. They get the first one. I don't think they can get the second one because here comes Bjergsen. They're gonna have to be fairly careful.
They have another wave.
The whole team's gonna collapse.
Start peeling up.
Oh, they might pay for it. They better get out quick. There's no Sivir ultimate, but there is Karma.
There's that angle again. That could be a very big Soul Flare. There it is. The secondary not hitting out for a move, but keeping him in range, and a non-level 6 cow. Not very tanky.
So in the end, it ends up being 3 kills given over for those 2.
Oh, for the slow from the barrel, not connecting.
Oh!
Oh, it's right. Can't get over the wall with the flash, and Huhi is forced to just walk this one out.
Man, that was a very smart ultimate there from Hanser. But look at this turnaround.
Ooh, Voice of Light providing some good damage. The front end hit onto Biofrost makes TSM think twice. It looks like they almost disengaged themselves a bit. Biofrost still has the speed, and the pillar was in their way. Smithy looking to harass 2v1. It looks like they're just putting TSM back into position on their own side of the map.
Yeah.
CLG looking strong, though. They want to continue to push what advantage they have here.
Yeah, and they actually get more gold out of this Azir turret. You get 100 gold for killing that, so even though it's not not going to hit this body slam. Don't think they can actually do anything here, just forcing them out of their own jungle. But yeah, CLG there, barely getting away with Huhi having to burn his flash. Remember that, yes, Aurelion Sol is great at roaming, and you know you can activate the E to move across the map and get over terrain. But if you take champion or turret damage, it cancels it, and that's why Hanser, the quick thinking, popped the ultimate from Aurelia and knocked him out of it, forcing the flash.
Mid lane gets the ping, and actually all of TSM coming straight up mid right now. True Shot Barrage trying to deter that a bit, but it looks like TSM obviously positioning.
Yeah, CLG are positioning actually to collapse on them and use this turret as bait. Aurelion Sol behind them, but they group up and Karma speed.
Seems like they thought their turret had a bit more health and would have stayed longer for the fight, but it goes down quick. CLG turns away again. Alphamu level 5.
All the ultimates are down for TSM now. If CLG wanted to chase, they could try and keep up the pressure. They let him go, though. TSM gonna recall, and CLG might be able to take an objective afterwards here. Cloud Drake actually does kind of help Aurelion Sol. All right, a lot of early shenanigans. CLG with a very minor lead, and they will take the Cloud Drake as well. Add that extra move speed for an Aurelion Sol is trying to transition.
Six to 1, coming up on 20 minutes. 7 minutes from now, TSM was in CLG's base last game. Quite a different story here with way more turrets standing on the map, and CLG looking for a second tier in the bottom now.
Haunter lying in wait here, but nobody else is around, so it's not a very threatening death push.
Alpha was creeping too.
Observatory. CLG, they're gonna trade that turret, but this is a secondary. They've already gotten the first one. Oh, Afro's dying!
He almost didn't get to ult. You have to remember as well, the chain to that ult makes him a bit squishier. 1 for 1 now as Bjergsen goes down, but there's still DPS returning for TSM, and they're able to clean up CLG kills as Svenskeren falls as well. Xmithy and Alphamu have fallen with Huhi. One last hit. Haunter looking to get over the wall. That Iceborne Gauntlet giving him just enough room to keep the fight going.
Get back in there! I want to see it. Do it!
Almost. That was a dead minion. Stixxay could have gotten the Blade Surge in the second one.
Playing with fire. Remember that it was a 5 versus 4 tower dive. CLG starting it out looking like they had the momentum, but a couple extra tower shots there, and it goes awry. TSM get 2 turret push off of this dive from CLG. Huhi ends up reacquiring the tower aggro right when he goes in. He thought it was going to be on Darshan though, but Darshan was between auto attacks. And Huhi's ultimate just tags it again, so the tower management not there for CLG on the dive, and it costs them pretty big as far as the momentum goes. 2 turret swing for TSM to get back in it. CLG were holding a very big turret lead, but that allows TSM to equalize it.
And that was 2 solo turrets for Doublelift. He went back with 2,200 gold. You can see his items now, that Essence Reaver and a Static Shiv. So he'll be able to clear more and create a deterrent with those side waves. CLG's gonna have to respect that push coming from him. Right now, it looks like TSM is looking to focus a bit inside the jungle. You can see Biofrost placing some pink wards. Forward pink wards means TSM feels like they can defend that area as well. So they're gonna be staying here.
Yeah, Stixxay taking a decent amount of poke there from Bjergsen as well. As they move up, side pressure. Haunter on top for TSM. They're holding mid with just the Azir turret. Pressing up the top lane, prepping it.
I was gonna say, where are you going, Huhi? You are taking a very dangerous journey over here. They have the wards inside their jungle, but they also don't know if they're walking over a bunch. He's forced to back as it looks like he was gonna try to take out Doublelift with Darshan there.
Yeah, screening for Darshan there in the dangerous long lane split push as well. And again, a little bit of extra move speed actually working out since both teams trying to play the map here. Extra boost from Karma and Sivir have allowed TSM to collapse very quickly. Next Drake though, Infernal, and that will definitely be a point of conflict.
Gotta go faster. Oh, the Elixir of Iron as well. Creates the speed path behind you. That's what,
Follow me!
That's what these teams need. We're finding ways to go quicker. Karma Sivir comp seems to be one of those ways so far. Stixxay, haven't seen too many true shot barrages come in for the fight. CLG trying to gain control of the map. We're holding it before, as we said, but the fight in the bot lane and Doublelift with free time in the top has just put TSM on top. Now they're going to go ahead and take that Baron control. Quite a few times, as we said, that 22 minutes, the Baron is TSM's. See how they handle it this time.
Yeah, even though we keep reiterating how quickly TSM have been destroying their opponents, they do have a pretty strong scaling advantage here. Apromu getting chunked out and Tether too.
That's going to lock him down for quite some time. It would be a flash save, but his flash is just about to come up.
Yeah, That was a very, very free kill for TSM. Now they move in. They've got wards as well. Full control of the Baron area. They can be the ones to siege up. They've got a champion advantage right now.
Yeah.
They've got the Azir plus Sivir to annihilate the wave. Focus on this turret. Gragas around back. Gets chased out by Hoovy though. Yeah, I haven't actually played in enough games with Aurelion Sol or even seen very many in competitive to really get a good handle on the scaling of the champion, but I would assume that it's not as good as Azir because that is pretty much the best in the business. And TSM looking to transition over to bottom lane as Hanser has prepped it. A little bit more damage maybe on the turret here. I don't think they'll commit fully to it. Aframu is back up.
Buhi trying to come in on the side. Sven Skaren stops that flank. And all the lanes are pretty much pushed up right now for TSM. They have time to wait and play this out. See if CLG makes a mistake. It looks like they'll take that time to head back for now, though. Coming out very strong. Team Solomid finding ways to get kills. Going on Alphamu even more now. Still seeing the Alistar play with that first level ultimate not as strong. TSM's able to capitalize on those small things.
Yeah, that nerf to Alistar's ultimate was a huge part in why we've seen the drop in popularity.
Yeah.
Because the supports stay on level 1 ultimate for so long. 25 minutes into the game, Afram was still level 8 as supports, especially in lane swaps, have a rough go of it. Pretty hard now for CLG to retake control. TSM have put a stamp on this mid lane, and they're trying to work over towards that Infernal we talked about. Actually, CLG not even going to contest this, it looks like, as they toy around mid lane with a duo.
Dragons, and more dragons for Team Solomid.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
The little advantages they get catapult the even smaller ones that they have. And they can possibly do things like this. Already being in the place for Dragon, Darshan would have to know. There's some focus bot lane.
Ooh, and he is dead again. TSM flip the button now. They are taking a more commanding lead of this game. And again, they still have such a great late game.
Yep.
It's getting so difficult for CLG. TSM this split have just been so impressive. And it is a lot about the work ethic of those guys. Right now they're getting chased down though.
Doesn't have the Celestial Expansion on. There's the commitment. They don't want to go in.
They're just buying time for the duo push here. The solo laners combining for an inhibitor turret press. Will they get caught out? I don't think so.
I mean, when TSM has 3 in the middle like that, they're almost not worried about an engage. Who's going to stick to them? I mean, if you look at the picks and bans, Bard was open this game, and CLG still chose not to go with it. Something that could have been huge in stopping this TSM.
One of the big reasons that we've seen the Karma, the Sivir, Gragas come back to popularity is with the rise of split pushing top laners. Very often, the other 4 members of the team will have to hold pressure, somewhere else on the map. Still true here, even though it's 2 members of TSM split pushing. The 4-man squad is so elusive. Gragas, Sivir, and Karma, so many ways to elude CLG's initiation, and they make it happen there, buying time for the team. Returning to TSM overall this split though, and the work ethic that they've had, it really has been showing through.
So the ability to keep up that pace without burning out as well, because we see a lot of teams come in and surge, and then it falls off slowly, and you almost wonder why. And burnout is one of those big reasons.
It is a very real concern, especially since, as Reginald said in the interview earlier, their focus is on playoffs.
Right.
Don't want to burn out during normal season play. Do want to instill fear in every other team in the North American LCS though.
And do it effectively by not losing any games. The story for TSM so far, a bit of their choose your own adventure, but also an autobiography, and it looks like they are going to be trying to take down Aframu once more, and they have turned quite a fight. This is the choke point you were talking about to get that Aurelion Sol in, but they can't find the priority targets. You saw the damage spread out across so many members.
And they get the disengage. Very big victory there for CLG. It's only a single kill, but that stalls out TSM's momentum that they were building. They were starting to take control, full control of this game. CLG are able to disengage and snag that kill onto Doublelift with the Trundle Pillar, locking him down.
Trying to get in their face. More turrets, more gold. So CLG's thinking right now if they can make it past these two members.
5 seconds on Doublelift though, and he can return to lane pretty quickly. TSM do defend their outpost.
Things on both sides of the map as well. Bot needs cleanup, top needs pushing. It's actually going from CLG's side in their favor, so TSM's gonna have quite a wave to deal with soon. CLG back to clean up. This is actually the moment you were saying they got this time to breathe, or TSM would still be down their throat. Let's see it again.
Yeah, less, because it's a pretty good initiation on the Smithy there, but they can't finish it. Afromu headbutts Haunter out of this. Haunter's basically out of that fight for the rest of it. Ooh. Really good headbutt there from Afromu to get him out of there. If Aurelia was in the backline as well, Smithy and probably 6A would have gone down. So very good use of the terrain, but Hui under attack now.
A little too sure of himself there, thinking he could act as the meat wall or the separator of the team fight, and he gets separated completely. A double kill for Hans.
Yeah, that small time of breathing room for CLG is short-lived. TSM return to the scene of the crime, re-engage, and take down Afro as well as Hui this time around. That's gonna be a Baron. Can Smithy get a miraculous steal here? He doesn't have flash, so it might be suicide. Not gonna go for it. Or will he?
They're gonna give it up. The team calls it. It looks like they were pondering the thought, but the better decision is to stay alive.
Because it definitely would have been suicide, and there's a low chance that you actually do get the steal. So CLG cut their losses and are now gonna have to huddle inside their inhibitor turrets. I think the middle secondary turret is gonna have to be forfeit. Here we go though. Haunter starts it all off. And Hui's trying to go in there. He does not have flash anymore. So Haunter keeps up the pace. Gragas ultimate to knock him back. Really well positioned from then Baron. And TSM are able to clean up, as you know, the Baron after that play as well. So they pick up right where they left off. You know, small little hiccup for them. And Afromu's gonna need some help.
The shoulder wards on either side of TSM alert them of CLG's flank, and it is stopped immediately along with Afromu's death. His ultimate also expended. Just about 30 seconds on the clock now. We're still pretty early in this one, so there's not much time to push once you get it, but TSM is making quick work of everything, so don't put anything past him.
Yep. They've got the... Oh, Svenskeren gonna be able to take that ward and... get on out. Yeah, definitely forfeit that secondary turret. Inhibitor ones are the only ones CLG stands a chance of defending at this point. And it would still have to be a pretty big mistake for TSM.
Just one hit on the turret. They've got an Infernal ready after they're done with the turrets and the Baron buff here, but 2 minutes going on that, so they may be staying for the long haul. Big damage onto Stixay. Makes him think twice. He's gonna have to go heal. All this time, these little pokes that TSM is getting is giving them so much time, or I should say enough time with the objectives and the turrets around the map.
Bjergsen wants to go save that minion wave in mid. They need it if they want to pressure another inhibitor turret. He successfully saves that cannon from Smithy, who was trying to cut the wave. And TSM again, they want to get 2 inhibitor turrets out of this Baron. There they go.
There's the on the hunt. They know that Bjergsen's in trouble. Immediately, the entire team pulls back for cavalry status, and now they're going to go ahead and get back into the fight.
Yeah, what happened there? I think Smithy was trying to flank or something. I didn't see the setup because I was focused on this turret, but that's definitely going to be 2 for TSM.
They were toying with each other, and literally TSM used just about the initiation they have to get back and save Bjergsen, to get back and save more damage for the fight, and possibly a continuation in and on to the nexus of CLG's base. 32 minutes, 16-4 here in a 10,000 gold lead once again for TSM as they close down on another victory. They close down on looking to be 10-0 in the NALCS, and it may happen in just a few. CLG holding what they can with the front line of Afromu and Darshan. Stixay trying to stay behind him and throw out the attacks, but TSM has played this so clean, they can almost stay here forever.
Yep, they'll stay here as long as it takes to kill the Nexus, though.
Haunter gets bopped, but it's going to be a trading kills. That's Darshan going down as well. TSM are going to stay undefeated in the North American LCS as they take down Counter Logic Gaming.
What an impressive series from TSM. Double Lift getting them hyped as well.
So elated. And they have to be happy. A game where even Reggie thought there's definitely a possibility where CLG come out here today and we see the CLG that people have been expecting to see since they came home from MSI. But TSM was able to get under that skin. We saw glimpses of it from CLG, but nothing that could be strung together.
I did like the Aurelion Soul strategy. He had some really good roams early on. They were able to get, a couple picks, a couple advantages. But against TSM, nobody has really been able to have a significant lead.
No.
They've only dropped 3 games the whole split so far, and those are just individual games. 0 series dropped by them. CLG are able to make a couple early moves, but that's about it. TSM looked very good.
And what is there to really say? I mean, you look back at the losses they have, the 3 in series, just the game losses themselves. There's really no correlation. You'd have to watch the game in depth to see what that mistake was, or if they didn't really or they came into the game too lax, I should say, without preparation. Other than that, where's the flaws? What do you see TSM doing wrong? It's very hard, and it seems like other teams haven't been able to find it either.
True.
So strong.
Why they are 10-0 now, still undefeated.
Yep. Crown Electric Gaming knew they would be coming into a very tough matchup today with the surge TSM has had from the beginning of the split, but definitely a game to look at in the beginning, where they went right, where they went wrong, and maybe how to capitalize off of those early Haunter kills, capitalize off a few more things in the jungle.
It's so hard even looking at this TSM team for other North American teams to try and find a weakness. Starting in picks bans, there are so many options for all of the laners of TSM, even though their side lanes, Haunter is picking Aurelia or Swain, and Double Lift is the majority on Lucian. That's not because they can only play those champions, it's because they haven't had to reach outside of that pool because of the diversity of the rest of them. Azir for Bjergsen, obviously, again, most damage in the game, and a really big showing from him. But he also can play the utility. He can also play Zillion. Where do you even start against TSM right now?
It's crazy because last season you look at Immortals and you say, why? You're like, Huni and Reignover control the hell out of this game. They do quite a lot. The rest of the players still play well. But you look at TSM and you're like, you could name somebody every game along that, and that just makes them so strong.
Yeah, and the biggest highlights for them this series were team plays. Was them collapsing to defend each other.
So hard to choose player of the game coming out of their games because they're all playing so damn well. We've got some replays for you, but first let's go down stage side where Dom has an interview on deck with TSM's bot lane carry.
Thanks, guys. I am joined by Double Lift after the victorious 2-0 over CLG in very commanding fashion. Double Lift, how does it feel to beat them pretty handedly?
Well, in the interview that I saw of Afro, he said he was looking for a 2-0, so we just gave him a 2-0.
Well, asked for and delivered. That's some pretty expected stuff, but I mean, TSM 10-0 in the league right now. Last time I spoke to you, it was after that first win. Well, you haven't dropped a single match since then. Where does the train stop?
Oh, wow. The expectations are definitely super high for our team, but we try not to really let that external pressure get to us too much. Like people are always talking about our KDAs and the fact that I'm like only playing Lucian, all this stuff. And it's like, that's funny, and it's like pretty nice to hear that the community has our back, but basically we can only ever meet their expectations or fall below them. We can never exceed their expectations right now. So I think it's mostly just like we're trying to play in a way that elevates each other and not really like care too much about what everyone's saying about us.
Well, that's something that we heard from Reginald when he was talking on the desk a little bit earlier, how TSM really seems more like a group of friends more so than a team, and talks a lot about the camaraderie. Is that true?
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I mean, this roster, it's awesome. Everyone has just really kind of clicked together, and it's always fun to play with Biofrost after scrims, and I don't know, I'm just really enjoying this split as opposed to the last split.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been showing in your play some very commanding stuff. I'd actually like to ask you a little bit about what it's been like for you to transition towards more of a leadership role for the team, working with Bjergsen to sort of take that shot calling role.
Oh, wow. Early in my career, I was definitely known for saying really stupid things and not understanding the game very well. And I think that sort of legacy has kind of haunted me for a long time, and it's fine, actually. I really enjoy it because it serves as motivation for me to really just learn the game and how to shot call better and lead better. I just, like all that external stuff about like, oh, I'm like a dumb player or whatever, I don't really care. My teammates really, I really have to give it to them because they don't care about that stuff either, and when I make a call, they just all in on that call. And most of the time in scrims, what's wrong, we just end up losing. But, on stage, I know exactly like our limits and what kind of style the team wants to fill. I also have to give a little shout out to Afro because he was my in-game leader on CLG, and he definitely taught me like what it means to be a decisive and like kind of like a split-second decision maker. And really everyone on the team just like steps in their moments of leadership and helps me, and I help them, and it's just like, it's really nice. I think our team just works really well with me and Bjergsen doing the shot calling.
Yeah, I mean, currently 10-0. The results kind of speak for themselves. So one final question for you. Next week, you're playing against Cloud9. Last time we spoke, I asked you a little bit if you had any trash talk for any of the other teams. Got anything to say?
Oh, man, I'm supposed to have humility in victory, so I can't say. Actually, Cloud9 scares me a little bit. They're probably the only team right now that scares me. I respect them a lot. They're extremely, extremely good in scrims. They are doing really well. So I'm looking forward to that match a lot. I think it'll be super close.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it too. Doublelift, congratulations on the 2-0. Thank you so much for speaking with me. We're going to go ahead and send it over to the analyst's desk to break that down.
Thank you very much, Dom. Who is that guy, and what did he do with Doublelift? All right, being all humble in victory now. What is that?
That guy's boring.
No, I do have to say I love the nod to Afromu there in that he says he learned essentially all of his ability to shot call through Afromu's decisiveness.
Yeah, it's a great storyline. You have a bot lane that is mostly the support kind of carrying the lane with a strong mechanical player, and now the strong mechanical player leaves and learns what he was taught from the shot calling support and now implements that into his own AD carry play. And AD carry as a shot call is a very rare thing, and to be honest, it looks really strong.
Yeah, very, very, very cool to hear. But ultimately, let's talk about this series as a whole. 2-0 victory for TSM over CLG in, again, pretty dominant fashion. Reginald saying it was 60-40. Didn't appear that way in terms of the results and the way that the game's played out. TSM, I mean, it's starting off the second half of the split as hot as they, as hot as they started the first half.
I mean, yeah, this didn't really look close. Neither did the first series that these guys played. TSM kind of stomped them. This game was a little closer, I think, than the first one.
That's true.
CLG had some advantages, and it seemed like the comp actually, I kind of like the idea of it, being this kind of roamy, pick people off comp. But I think against a team like TSM who moves around the map so well, it just couldn't quite work. But I think against other teams it could.
A lot of it goes credit to the Sivir and the Karma pick that allows so many of the fast rotations and collapses from CLG that, honestly, the Alistar and Ezra are no match for the speed that Karma and Sivir can boost the team, particularly with the Gragas. It's so easy to get picks around the map, and when you only have the Aurelion Soul, granted, I thought the Aurelion Soul was pretty great.
Yeah.
Moving around, making plays for CLG, blowing a lot of summoners and putting pressure on the map, but ultimately when it came down to any play that did not involve Aurelion Soul, TSM was just fast.
That's what I was going to say. It was very clear that TSM did struggle around the Aurelion Sol pick individually, but still as a whole, because Aurelion Sol was not involved in all aspects of play across the map, TSM just found ways to play around the Aurelion Sol, not straight into it.
Right, and I think, and the side of CLG, the other pick I was like a little questionable on was the Alistar. I think they're kind of running like a more, kitey back comp, and an Alistar.
Why not take Braum?
Or yeah, why not take Braum? Why not take a Nami or something? Nami Ezreal's a pretty strong combo, and I think the Alistar, you don't have any burst with the team, so when the Alistar like goes in, like combos somebody, like you have the Nidalee going in for the most burst probably, and it's a little bit of a stretch to think that he's gonna insta-give somebody.
Absolutely, I hear you there. I want to dive into some gameplay. 19 minutes into the game, CLG committing to a dive, TSM reacting towards it, going to come out on top 3-2.
So this play starts out by a lot of indecisiveness from CLG. They clearly had numbers advantage, but they only start the dive when it's already too late. They've taken so much turret aggro, and they pull the trigger very well with the flash engage, but because of the turret aggro they took earlier, they're going to suffer a lot of casualties. And if you look on the map on the top side, Doublelift isn't even there. He's been split pushing the entire time and is able to pick up a tier 2. So this ends up being a big trade for CLG where they get the turret advantage. And we saw this mistake happen that TSM made by overcommitting to a chase on the bot side and losing the tier 1 and tier 2 middle. But CLG did not learn from TSM's mistake and pulls the same card.
Right. It's basically been the thing where TSM picks somebody off, CLG says, all right, that's fine, we'll go take something else. And then here, you know, CLG really needs to be decisive in the dive to have this be a really positive play. Because if that goes well, you might be looking at an inhib, something crazy. But you saw how instantly they deleted Bjergsen. If they go for that right away with the Aurelion Sol and Ezreal ultimates, then, you know, they win that super hard, but they wait too long. The rest of the team's able to get there. Honsters comes in at the end to start cleaning up a couple kills.
And it's curious because CLG, I mean, again, nothing has changed with this roster between last split and this split. And last split, I feel like this play would have gone differently, right? They would have made the decision. They just would have made it sooner, as you mentioned. They would have executed on it faster, and it probably would have worked out in their advantage. But that doesn't happen in this split. And maybe we'll get to why in just a bit. But I want to push us forward to 29 minutes into the game. TSM going to pick up that 2-for-0. Off of a kill on Dahuhi here in the mid lane, plus the Baron on the back end.
Right, this is coming right after an earlier fight where a lot of the cooldowns that CLG needs to teamfight are down. So Afro doesn't have his ult, he can't be the frontliner that he really needs to be. Huhi's missing his flash, so when Honster gets on him here, he just has to run. He misses the stun there, and that's pretty much his death sentence once that happens. Gragas comes in, knocks him back in. Yeah, he's probably dead anyways, just not having the flash up, and TSM's able to get 2 kills, and then from there it's an easy Baron.
Ultimately, though, playing around cooldowns, very smart from TSM to know that, okay, we've got, you know, tracking timers, tracking cooldowns on flashes, and knowing that we can't play around the Ace Soul until we have his flash down, then we jump on him, we get that kill, we pick up the Baron.
The Sivir Karma combination with Gragas, anything that does not have flash will be getting killed, and they do just that.
Okay, now let's take a step back from this series. TSM 10-0 on the split. Just a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, we were looking at CLG saying this is the best NA team that we've had, at least in terms of their showing at international competition. Immortals maybe the only team that would have been in that discussion for best North American team of all time. And now TSM starting out in a very similar fashion. Where would you put them in terms of the you know, in the annals of history for North America? Can we talk about this being one of the best North American teams we've ever seen?
Well, they're certainly reaching the higher echelons of it, but it's still a little bit too early because they have a lot to learn in the best of 3s. They're clearly taking that to the advantage, and one of the things that happens with a lot of the top teams is that when they play against teams that are just kind of struggling and catching up, a bottom team will look up to TSM, and by looking up, they're kind of behind in the terms of the tempo, the meta, how to play the match. So TSM has a lot of picks and kind of plays that aren't necessarily being abused yet. When we saw them play against Immortals, against Cloud9, we saw a lot of these tendencies getting exploited. So if the competition kind of levels up and we see TSM being exploited in the weaknesses that they've shown, then it's going to be a lot easier for us to judge. But so far, nobody's doing that, and they certainly look like one of the best teams.
So we're looking forward to that Cloud9 and those Immortals matchups. We heard W5D3 say pretty much the only team that he's you know, afraid of at all is that Cloud9 roster, saying that he thinks that they might be able to take some games off of them.
Right, and I think the other thing, too, which we heard Reggie touch on, was just that it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you end. And so this team could easily flame out in the playoffs at some point, going, you know, 0-3 like an Immortals did. So we have to see how that finishes. And but other than that, I mean, I think they actually look really good. I don't think they have that many weaknesses. They seem to play all phases of the game pretty well. Their champ pools are diverse, and it's not super exploitable.
We got a quick hit on player of the game here, Bjergsen on the Azir, into a matchup that he is definitely not going to have a ton of knowledge around, as no one else in the league is playing the Aurelion Sol. So his ability to navigate that matchup, even if he wasn't necessarily dominating, and then be able to transfer into the team fight phases of the game flawlessly, is why it goes to him.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about if you're playing against Bjergsen, what would we actually let him have? I feel like at this point, any bans towards mid lane might be a bit of a waste. He's going to pick a champion, and he's going to be really proficient at it. It doesn't matter where it is. There's too much very strong stuff in the mid lane. It's really tough to just ban him out. I mean, do you let him have Vlad, Azir, Ryze, LeBlanc, like Victor? It doesn't make sense. So just let him have whatever he wants and kind of play around it, because I feel like he's just going to go off in any of these champions.
Right, I think that's kind of what CLG attempted here, was give him the Azir, we'll counter pick with Aurelion Sol, move around the map, but the thing was Bjergsen was still on the map, probably more than who he was, which is why it's so impressive when you see that happen, and he's definitely deserving of the player of the game.
Very much so. Well, TSM still looking dominant, moving to 10-0 on the split. Over on NALCS 2, between Energy and Fox. Fox is about down 3K at 35 minutes, looking to even up the series and push it to a Game 3. We'll see if they can do that. Hop on over there. Here on NALCS 1, we've got to hit a break before we come back for Apex versus Phoenix 1 in our second match of the day. Stick around. We'll be right back.